Welcome to the Off 199 podcast. We are your co-hosts, Jay,
Music Nerd,
and Dap.
We're just a few Miami boys who love talking about South Florida sports and want to bring it to you. So, without further ado,
Off 199 starts now.
All right. What's going on, Off 199 fans? Welcome. We have a very special episode today. We're going to be discussing our top 5 NBA players of all time. Basically, this is our GOAT talk that we're going to have, our version of it. So, first things first, I introduce you to our co-host. Bring him back. We're going to bring back Josh Salter. He hasn't been back for a while, but how you doing, brother?
How y'all doing? Thank you for having me back after multiple scheduling conflicts. I am back and excited for the barbershop talk. I love barbershop talk style. That's how we grew up. That's how we talk. So I'm ready to get into this and have some controversial takes.
All right. That's what I'm looking forward to. Then, of course, a couple of our regular contributors, AJack and Nick. How y'all doing?
Doing good.
What's up?
Mm-hmm. And my normal co-host, Jay. How we doing, bro?
What's up? College football 25 is out.
That's kind of what I've been spending all day today with as I've been off. So, but putting college football 25 aside for now, what we're going to talk about today is our like I said, our top 5 GOAT discussion. So we're going to try to do like a barbershop style discussion. Basically, I want everyone to list their top 5, and then we are going to discuss and kind of nitpick and everything, everyone's top 5. Now, you don't have to have it be the same. You can have overlapping. It doesn't have to be different. Just to be different is your 5. That's how it goes. So I will start off with H1. I'll start off with AJack. Then we go to Nick. Then go to Josh. Then we go to Jay. Then I'll go last, and then we'll talk about it. All right? All right. AJack, who is your top 5 of all time?
I was talking to Dad about it. He liked my top 5, so I feel pretty good about it. I got Jordan, Kareem, Ron, Magic 4. I couldn't really decide between 5, so I'm gonna do like Shaq, Kobe, slash at that. Either one.
So you slashed it.
Yeah, I slashed it. Shaq, Kobe. If you take Shaq, I'm cool with it. You take Kobe, I'm cool with it too. So yeah, those are my top 5.
All right. So to recap,
Kareem. LeBron.
Oh, Bron. That's okay.
Magic, Jordan, Kareem, LeBron, and Shaq / Kobe.
My fault. No, Jordan,
Mm-hmm.
Kareem.
Oh, this is an order: Jordan, Kareem, LeBron, Magic at 4.
Shaq,
and
Kobe.
then
In that order?
Yeah, for sure.
Man, we off to a start. I'll tell you
All
what.
right.
I
All right.
don't really see nothing wrong with that list. That's probably like the most.
Okay.
But yeah, you're right. This is barbershop time. I'll let y'all get to you.
I love it.
All right, Nick, hit me with your top 5.
I think we all unanimously have Michael Jordan as number 1, correct? It's really a top 4.
I'm proud you got him number 1.
Mm-hmm.
No,
Me?
it's not unanimous. It's not unanimous.
Not unanimous?
Okay.
He's not on everyone's list?
No, he's not. He's not saying he's number 1 on everyone's list. That's what Jay is saying. But we'll get there.
Oh. I mean, he may not be number 1. This isn't in any order.
Mm-hmm.
So I've got Michael Jordan, LeBron James, Kobe Bryant. Then I've got Kareem. Then it was a toss-up between. I want to put Wilt Chamberlain in there, and I don't care what anybody says. I'm putting Wilt in there.
Okay.
Wilt Chamberlain.
Hey.
I'm putting him in there. Wilt is still.
All right. Well, still. All right. To recap, Jordan, Magic. No, I'm sorry. Jordan, Kobe, LeBron, Wilt, and Kareem.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. All right, Josh, hit me with your 5.
This is wild. There's some versions of this, some wild versions of this. All right. Wow. All right. So let's get some of the easy ones out the way. I put MJ. This is in no particular order either. We can discuss that later. I put MJ, and then I put the other MJ, Magic Johnson. I put Shaq, and I also put Kobe up there. Now, my 5th, we're just going to get into the barbershop of it all. My fifth. It's my top. Okay, it's Tracy
Oh,
McGrady.
I knew it.
Tracy,
I knew you were going to say
Tracy
that. I knew you were
McGrady.
going to say that.
All
All right, so to recap,
I don't want to hear.
to recap, Michael Jordan, Magic Johnson,
Correct.
Shaquille O'Neal, Kobe Bryant, and Tracy McGrady, right? For your top 5. All right.
Respect it.
All right. Jay, hit me with your 5.
My 5,
Mm-hmm. LeBron James,
Michael Jordan,
Jordan,
Magic Johnson,
Magic Johnson,
Shaquille O'Neal,
Shaquille,
Dwayne Wade.
Dwayne Wade.
I can see.
Waiting for one of y'all. I was waiting for one of y'all.
So,
I was waiting for one of y'all. Waiting.
All right, so Magic, Jordan, LeBron,
For me, it's my goal.
D Wade and Shaquille O'Neal, right?
I wouldn't. I can't hate on that.
All right. So this is my 5. It's actually pretty similar to Austin's. It's Magic, Jordan, LeBron, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and my 5th is Hakeem Olajuwon.
Okay,
That's a good one.
Mm-hmm.
that's a.
All right, let's get into it. First off, my list. So go ahead, AJack. Go ahead. So let's talk about the Tracy McGrady of it all here, Josh. Like, how do you defend that pick in the top?
Please, defend T-Mac. Defend T-Mac and you leaving Kareem off of the list.
I just have to ask the question.
All right. AJack. Okay, go ahead.
In what world does a nigga who never won a playoff series
Thank you.
top 5 player of
All time?
Guys,
All time.
guys,
Maybe if we're making a top 10 list and you put him at 10.
First
I
of
was
all,
going to ask the question.
First of all, this is the barbershop of it all, okay?
All right.
So
You
you're
can
welcome.
still.
Secondly, this is my top 5. It was emphasized my top 5.
That's true. We gave y'all our last.
You
It
guys-
was your top 5, your personal
What
top
was
5.
given to me
But
was the
Jesus.
T-Mac though.
What was given to me was the following prompt. This is a barbershop style discussion on your top 5. Boom. When I was raised, as you were as well, Nick, which I'm very disappointed in you. I was raised in the 2000s. There was one guy and one guy only that we obsessed over, that was going head to head with another guy that was in my top 5, who is Kobe Bryant. Now, I am not about to say that, statistically speaking, T-Mac is better than us. That's not what my argument is. One of my main arguments is what he did when he was in his era, 1. 2.
Which was what?
Not shit.
2-time scoring champion in a time where scoring was pretty premium at that time. Additionally,
How many times he won the scoring championship?
Can I finish my point? Let me finish
Let him finish, Nick.
How many times he won that? One don't count.
Twice, okay? Let me finish my point. I'm disappointed in you for not knowing these things about T-Mac anyways. All right.
I wasn't a T-Mac fan.
Clearly. Because
I wasn't an Orlando fan till like my second year living in Orlando.
Right.
So
my next point, and probably the fuller point that we can have a discussion about, is the way that T-Mac, from my perspective, revolutionized the game. He was a long shooting guard, small forward type player, but had a ton of handles and could finish at the basket. Very smooth shot. And that I felt like was the precursor to a lot of game that we see today, such as a Kevin Durant.
Okay, that's the only point.
I'll start and then with Kevin Durant. But that, I think T-Mac is the precursor to that. Kobe Bryant also said in an interview a long time ago, T-Mac was one of his toughest opponents that he ever.
opponents to defend. He did say that.
So
yes, that's true.
So again, given all that I said earlier about my own preferences and this being a barbershop, boom, I get it. It looks kind of ridiculous. There's a ton of evidence to suggest that if T-Mac had the team like a Spurs team or additional help, which he was supposed to get from Grant Hill, which he was supposed to have from Yao Ming, which he was supposed to have at different points in his career, he would have been able to make a deeper run in the playoffs and insert himself into the conversation that we're having today. With that, I will rest my case.
So basically, you included in your 5 to have a conversation about him. That's why you did that.
You told me this is a barbershop discussion and my top 5. So I'm like, T-Mac's in my top 5. And guess what? It's a barbershop discussion. So I guess we can roll with it.
You got to roll with it. All right.
If you were like, all right, I want to take you guys seriously by the end of this conversation, maybe I would have switched it up. But I don't really care if you guys take me seriously or not. To me, it's just like, this is my top 5, so let's rock with it.
Yo, the only point I agree with you is that like he definitely was like a precursor for like taller, longer players for like, you know, being able to do all that handling stuff. Everything else.
But you got to like
it's an interesting conversation.
He's had to win one
for the combo wing that
we had to win one.
He's had to win one. Boom. All right. If Ray Allen would have never hit that shot and the Spurs would have won, T-Mac would have had 1 championship. Is he in your top 5 then?
No, because he didn't win one as the guy. I'm talking
that
about
just can't be Tuesday, nigga. I don't know what to tell you.
He was on the Spurs, you know, when they went their run. I'm talking about as the guy. Yeah, actually, he took the 3-1 lead. So what's up with this whole he didn't have the team. T-Mac is probably one of the most talented players.
Team.
Yeah, he's probably one of the most talented players ever. If you want like a top 5 list of like most talented players ever, he is for sure on that list. But he is a choker. He is an all-time choker. Like he could have won 1 series, bro. His whole career, he could have won 1.
Okay, if you want to talk about that, we have other players that are on top 5s that have choked as well and have won.
Who?
Huh?
Like who?
LeBron. And
LeBron's won.
How can you say that? LeBron's won 4 NBA
LeBron's
championships.
If it wasn't for Ray Allen, okay, if it wasn't for Kyrie Irving, if it wasn't for whomever else we want to put on this list, LeBron might have 2 championships, and we'd be looking at here like, oh, okay.
He was still, but to your point, he was still have more championships than T-Mac has 1 series.
Guys,
bro,
y'all want the
Tracy is at like, Tracy is at like.
This is the barbershop. You said something stupid. We're combating.
Like the extreme version of what you're talking about. He's never won anything. Like he looked like, I know niggas be talking about, oh, he's never won anything. No, Tracy McGrady, that's actually legit true. He never won anything.
I get it. I understand that. I understand that. But if y'all are saying, oh, we need the top 5 based on statistics, or we need the top 5 based on
it's overall. It's overall.
You just have to be able to defend your choice. That's really what it came down to. You defended your choice. There are some good points there, but
cool.
You have to be up to
I agree with
scrutiny as well.
I agree with 1 point for sure. I 100% agree with that because Katie talks a lot about how he got his hezzy pulls from Tracy McGrady. So I definitely get where you come from. That's it though, man. Like that's it.
I think so. Okay, boom. All right, boom. So if Karl Malone was in my top 5, do you think that would have been justified?
No.
I don't know what to tell you, sir.
I think I'll say this. I think you have an easier time arguing. You have an easier time arguing for Karl Malone than you would for
two-time MVP than Tracy McGrady. Like, I'll give you that. But like you have an easier time arguing for a 2-time MVP like Karl Malone than a nigga never won a playoff series in Tracy McGrady for sure. Like you got that. But like what I'm trying to say about Tracy, he's like the most extreme version of like never won anything. You know what I'm saying? Like niggas definitely overuse the word loser. And I don't even want to call Tracy McGrady a loser. But Tracy McGrady is a loser.
He's not a loser.
He's not a loser. Okay, he's a multiple-time All-Star. He's a scoring champ of the NBA. He's done a lot and he's accomplished a lot. I'm not saying it's much, especially.
Let's read it off right now. He got 10 NBA All-Star appearances.
I didn't say he wasn't accomplished. I didn't say he wasn't accomplished. I'm saying he just didn't win anything. And what you just said doesn't dissuade that. That's what I'm saying.
But when you look at his game and you look at the way he was utilizing his game, one, it was a precursor. One, it probably, if he was on a better team, it probably would have led to a lot of winning on his end. And we'd be, again, I don't necessarily like playing the what.
He 100% had bad luck.
When it comes to top 5, I throw him in there, one, because I'm a little bit biased being from Orlando, and 2, I look at what could have been. If Allen
so you're ranking your top 5 on something that hasn't happened and not history?
Listen. What about Allen Iverson? Does Allen Iverson deserve to be into people's top 5?
If someone said that,
hold on, one at a time.
Go ahead. No,
Go ahead,
someone else.
AJack.
I already got something for that, but someone go ahead. Someone else go
All
ahead.
right. As far as Allen Iverson, in my opinion, no, I don't believe he belongs in anyone's top 5. I think he's barely top 5 shooting guards of all time. If I'm being honest when it comes to Allen Iverson. But the way that he affected the game, that's part of it. That's what pushes him into that top 5. But he also
that also matters. That also matters to a lot of people.
It does matter. It does matter. So that's what pushes him up there. But when you're talking about the greatest, you're talking about the greatest. He's not the greatest of all time. He's not. I mean, he's not even the best player in his own draft.
Sure, I get what, but best player in the draft, top 5, those are 2 different things.
But even with the AI thing, right?
Hit me.
Comparing, like, are you trying to compare AI to Tracy and trying to be like that's on like the same wavelength or something like that?
No, not at all. What I'm saying is that with a guy like AI who went to the finals but didn't win a final, and at the end of his career kind of tailed out, I can still see how some people will put them in their top 5 for what he was able to accomplish, considering all that he went through. Mm-hmm. And to me, that's important to consider. The fact that he was
he won playoff games.
All right,
sure.
That's kind of like my point that's kind of my point with it.
So having to win playoff games is indicative of
no. Let's stop.
I think that's indicative of greatness.
Like there's no happen to win playoff. He didn't luck into winning playoff games. Like he won those playoff games. You know what I'm saying? There's no lucky into it. He didn't happen to win them. He won those. So it's like, and like you'll never accuse the 76ers teams of being good. They weren't good.
Never accused what?
Like those are carry jobs.
76ers teams of being good.
And my point about Tracy McGrady is he legit never had 1 year. One series where he just carried his team to a series win. So it's hard for me to have him in these discussions. Mind you, I love Tracy McGrady. I wish I could be like Tracy. I wish I could shoot like Tracy McGrady. All that stuff like that. But there has to there's obviously a problem with you if you I don't know I forgot how many years he played. One time he couldn't just take his team over like that hump. Just one hump.
He played from 97 to 2013.
Like
in 16 years. He's 16 years. And 10 of those years, he was number 1 option.
Again.
Just give or take. 10 years, number 1 option.
It doesn't have to be your top 5. This is mine. Here's what
I get it. I 100% I get it. Because I get the point of you growing with him, you idolizing him. I 100% get that.
No.
That's why I ain't mad at
Let me break it down even further, right? Because now we're creating maybe not but these points in which, okay, this player is better than this player because they've done this thing. But doing that thing, such as winning playoff series, winning championships, is more conducive, or not conducive, is more dependent on different factors that they may or may not have control over. And when those things add up, you can see championship culture. The thing is, Orlando is not championship culture, which is what we've learned about over and over and over again. And that's why they're having to turn over so many different players and so many different teams and so many different administrations. Because T-Mac is not necessarily in control of all of those factors, that's a big difference between him being able to be a part of the conversation legitimately because he's won playoff series, playoff games. Now, I get what you're saying at other points. Sure, he needs to just take over and do this. Take over and win one playoff series.
Just one. That's all.
I get what you're saying, but I actually would like to argue that a lot of that is dependent on other factors that isn't entirely in his hand. That's what I'll say.
Okay, well, there's that point too when it comes to it. Now, Orlando may not have been the most championship-good places, but then you go to a place like Houston, which is called Clutch City and is known for some of its championship pedigree, but he couldn't get it done there. They had a season where they had a 22-game winning streak and still did not win a playoff series in that season. It's just, for me, I get where you're coming from. Now, T-Mac is a precursor for the combo wins that teams salivate over now. You know, if Caleb Martin played a little bit more like T-Mac, I think we all be a little bit more happy as Heat fans over the past couple years. The same. But that being said, for when it comes to greatness in top 5 of all time, I think when it comes down to it, when you're picking 5, because like I said, there's going to be amazing players that you leave off your list. There has to be some type of cutoff. There has to be some type of thing that distinguishes these players.
If
T-Mac would be an amazing player to leave off the team. They made a mistake with the top 75 with not including T-Mac.
No, they didn't.
Yeah, yes, they did.
I feel like
If the list was game changers, he'd be on here.
I was more,
I
as
get
far
it.
as when it came, I was more upset that Dwight Howard was left off rather
Yeah,
than
more
T-Mac.
said about the white.
Exactly, because Dwight Howard has the numbers and the effect on the game at that point. I'm
We
sorry,
had-
T-Mac played in an
we
era where
had-
solo basketball, where
Dwight
ISO
Howard.
ball one
We had a
game.
better team.
All right, it's like my thing.
Than
Kind
we
of my
did.
biggest thing about T-Mac is that like it's like a level of greatness that like I don't feel like he ever tapped into.
Don't forget when T-Mac left, our team was terrible, and then we were able to get
That's how they got.
get Dwight Howard not underpay him, but like pay him a rookie contract and beef him up with a bunch of other people like Rashard Lewis and whatnot, and then get to the championship. That is an administrative like deal that's gonna put a player in position to be in the top 5 as opposed to a player that is the precursor that causes a bunch of these things to happen, but they don't happen to him. And then now we're having a conversation about why he shouldn't be in it. Boom.
Okay. All right. Well, we're talking about that. When you tap into that, like we also, but you're talking about some of the other players that we put on our list. Like the universal players on the list are LeBron James and Michael Jordan. Like, and Magic is, I think, is on what 4 to 5 list as well.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, like Lakers are the most storied franchise in history. Love that bet. Chicago and Cleveland did absolutely nothing before these named players came there. So
Before and after.
Like,
Before and after.
And
after. So I mean, like Chicago became absolutely trash. It's still trying to recover.
They're dog shit still to this day.
And the not this season, but the season before, this is the last season the last 2 seasons are only seasons in the new century that Cleveland is able to go to the playoffs without LeBron James on their roster. That's how bad they have been. So I mean, when it comes to that type, I think that you can make that argument. Yes, there are circumstances that are around the player that changes. That's why LeBron ended up leaving Cleveland, in my opinion. But still, it does not speak to say that his greatness was able to pull that team out and bring them into a contender when they had no business contending to begin with. Same kind of goes for Dwayne Wade as well, in my opinion. Was able to bring Miami had been competitive before, but not to the level that they had before they got him. I think a player's greatness is able to pull the team out of the mud. They're
able to elevate other people, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think T-Max elevated anybody.
So yeah, I think that's just the argument with that. But okay, we'll be able to move on from the T-Mac of it all and get into some of these other ones.
Guys, look, he was supposed to have Grant Hill. Grant Hill got injured, and we paid.
He's 100% lucky.
For 12
that part, yes.
Grant Hill is still somewhere.
But this list is not really based off what could have been.
Never playing the game with the Magic.
That's true, but exactly what Phil said. You put somebody on your top 5 for what could have been.
We have I'm not putting him on top. I told you what Kobe said. I told you what he's accomplished. There is a lot of speculation about what could have been, but we could discuss. That's the barbershop aspect of this. I forget what my point was. We had Grant Hill.
Means it wasn't a strong one.
We're almost. Shut up.
The thing is, you can go into the Grant Hill of it.
Hold on.
Go ahead.
Yeah,
go ahead. Make your point.
I don't remember when the Tim Duncan thing happened, but we're thinking
happened the same year Grant Hill happened.
You beat me to about 15 seconds. I was about to bring up that point. Also, y'all could have had Tim Duncan. That was a real strong possibility after I think 04.
And you know what? We were taking all the money away from Miami, and Orlando would be the main city in Florida right now. But it is. But I still reserve the right to put T-Mac up there, not on what could have been, but what he actually accomplished. And
Which was what?
Individual stuff. Individual.
His individual accomplishments.
Josh, if this was a game-changing list, McGrady could be on it. But no, this is the greatest of all time list.
Oh, okay, bet. All-Stars.
This man has never even made an All-NBA team or second or third string defense.
He made All-NBA team?
No, he made All-NBA. I misspoke.
There are plenty of.
I misspoke, but I mean, like, he's never even made a defensive team. Like, he didn't even play both ways like that.
There are plenty of players that I'm sure would be in other people's top 5 that don't fit all of those categories exactly. So,
I'm trying to think of who would I'm trying to figure out who would be put in the top 5 that doesn't fit that criteria.
Exactly.
And I can't really
that doesn't have a defensive that doesn't have an all defensive team. I'm sure.
No, I'm just talking like
he didn't even have a third one.
I mean, that everything that Tracy McGrady wasn't is like the same as the top 5 player that I would put there. I'm trying to think of somebody like.
I mean, I think maybe Celtics fans will put Paul Pierce on the
Actually,
list.
you know what?
Paul Pierce has a championship.
I may have one some great degree types. Like my person, if I would go the same way as Josh, I'll probably take off LeBron and put KD because KD one of my favorite players of all time. You know what I'm saying? But
I was surprised he wasn't on your list, to be honest with you.
No, because like, bro, I'm somewhere.
I would understand.
I'm somewhere. I know, KD flaws or whatever like that. I know, like, but at the same time, though, he's still, and as Josh, he's one of the precursors where like that. Everybody who's 6'10" and above, bro, the number 2 pick in the draft went 0 for 7 from 3. He's 7'1". He's trying to be like KD.
He's trying to be like KD.
He's trying to be like KD.
If so, that's not greatness, what is?
Hey man, but like, you know, but even with KD, even before the war, like I know people try to like downplay. People try to say, "Oh, he only got his rings because of the Warriors," which is true. But even before the Warriors, he was still a winner. He still had an MVP.
I got
the conference championship. So it's like that's still not like kick chasing.
I can't take that.
but also remember those Thunder team had Russell Westbrook, had Serge Ibaka, had Andre Roberson, had guys that could come off the bench and contribute to those teams, and they did well.
You know what happened that year that Russ got hurt? He won an MVP and he won a playoff series.
I get what you're saying.
We're not going to drag Russ through the mud in this one.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying about Tracy.
I live
one time.
And we just got Russell Westbrook, so I'm not going to take any Russell Westbrook slang. What I am going to say is that and I guess I'll close at this point, and I think we need to move on to another segment.
We do,
but what I can say is that what T-Mac afforded the Magic after he was gone, I think led to a lot to the Dwight Howard era. Now, you can argue whether or not like he was great enough to carry them himself, but I think because he left, that afforded. We tanked, got Dwight Howard in a couple of years. We're able to have enough money and enough cap space in order to fill the roster up with legitimate players when the Magic could actually compete. Not to say that speaks to how actively great T-Mac was, but to see that if you put a team around a player, you're going to succeed. You can succeed. So that's all I'll say about that.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll move on from the T-Mac of it all until one of the other picks that were unlike the others. So, Nick, can you defend the Wilt Chamberlain pick? And I can't believe I'm saying this, but give us the reasons why you put Wilt Chamberlain on your top 5.
Look, I know all y'all going to say the era upon which he played in and this and that, whatever. But there is still a period of time where he was playing up against good competition. So, and he still dominated. This man has 13 NBA All-Star appearances, 7 All-NBA first teams, 4 MVPs, 2 NBA championships, NBA Finals MVP. He revolutionized the game from the center standpoint at that period in time. This man still holds records that are just insane. He averaged 50 points per game for one season. And this is from that'll never happen. Scoring 2-pointers. 2s. Because there really wasn't no 3-point line. Like, come on.
That's why I get upset when people say that it's illegitimate. I'm like, there wasn't a 3-point line to booster that either. So.
Exactly. I mean, I know a lot of people are, they're suspect on the 100-point game. I'm not even going to bring that to it because I mean, it is what it is. There's no real footage from it. I mean,
there's so much evidence that it actually happened.
Yeah. So I'll use that too then.
Wait. How do we have footage on everything else except that 100-point game?
Bro, even in the 80s, they used to play the finals on like time delay. It's not inconceivable that they wouldn't record a random NBA game in the 60s. Like, come on, yo. Like, come on. Like, there's plenty of news articles covering the game. So it's like
evidence of everything else. You just believe anything the media tells you, huh, AJack?
Not really. Hey, look.
I'm not gonna buy into the.
Here's how I see it.
I was there.
If multiple white people report that a black person did a great thing, it's probably true.
Ooh,
it's probably true.
Hey,
fair.
Hey, that kind of. That's a really good point.
Am I spitting?
Right. And that should be the trailer for this. That should be the trailer for this podcast right there. That's right. That's
like, I mean,
for this podcast right there. All right, but you were saying, Nick.
This is another thing I was he grabbed 55 rebounds in a game, never fouled out. Chamberlain's the only average person to average 30 points. No, not that point. But like, he's also just an athletic specimen at that point. For him to be able to run up and down the court at 7-1 at that point in time, it's just outrageous. I mean, his career speaks for itself in and of itself. I mean, if you want to argue the era upon which he played in, I mean, it is what it is. No, but you can't take away his accomplishments. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. I'm advocating this is dominance. So I mean, I thought it was just an interesting point, like because he just missed out on mine. But for me, I guess I took.
If I'm being honest, it was between him or Magic Johnson.
Mm-hmm. So
I mean, he's got 11 NBA rebounding championships. Like, oh, in 1968, he was an assist leader.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Okay, that's one thing I did not know.
That's true.
Yeah, like this man's resume is ridiculous. 31,419 points overall scored. 23,924 rebounds.
Yeah,
assists for his career 4,643 at the center position.
So to me, again, I'm reminded of that meme where they put anybody's face on a Kareem Abdul or not Kareem on a Wilt Chamberlain stat, and it's like 55 points, like 35. You know, and so I appreciate this being brought up. To me, it feels like okay, what is the basis that we are allowing the top again? And I put T-Mac in. I'm saying that, like, if there is a certain standard in which we are putting people, which is fine, you are including somebody that during their era, there was a center that was able to get a sit. That doesn't like speak to me that like there were high levels of defense being able to like come down on this guy and stop this guy. I understand he put up and he was Superman and he did a lot, right? But like, to me, I feel like people are coming at my neck over T-Mac when he operated in an era. Listen, when he operated with an era with real killers out there. That's what I'm saying.
T-Mac operated in an era where it was solo ball, that you could be ball dominant with one player, that one player could make a team. And he didn't do anything.
Stop. There were real shooters outside, okay? There were real shooters outside.
I'm just saying, though.
All right, let me ask you then, like, what were like 3 other shooting guards in that era that you can name that was like real killers in your opinion? And Trace McGrady's era.
In the T-Mac era?
Yeah.
Rip Hamilton. We have
not right there, bro. You said
Rip Hamilton.
You said right there, bro.
Rip Hamilton.
You hold on right there, sir.
Rip Hamilton wasn't one of the best mid-range shooters of all time.
That's it. That's the only thing you can say about him. What else? What else can he do?
Kobe. What are we talking about?
AI
Kobe.
Right,
we're back on T-Mac.
No, but no, my thing is, you think Rip Hamilton at that point in time was a top 3 shooting guard?
No, his question was who were some real shooters that were outside.
I'm talking about killers. I didn't consider Rip Hamilton a killer.
Rip Hamilton was a killer.
Nah, hey.
He wasn't.
Playoff Rip Hamilton was.
He wasn't a real killer.
Was that guy?
You got it.
Hey. Okay.
He's not talking about it was bring up in an argument, but he was that guy.
I do got it. Yeah.
To be fair, that's who T-Mac blew a 3-1 lead against, was playoff Rip. Yeah.
That's playoff Rip. I'll give it to him. I wouldn't bring him up in an argument, but he was that guy.
I watched him lose to one. I don't know what to tell you.
Oh, he's like, but anyways, getting all right, getting back to the wilt of it all. Even with comparing him to T-Mac, what was able to win some championships with the Lakers, and win some series. And the best defensive player of that era, who was Bill Russell, said he couldn't do anything against Wilt Chamberlain. He said Wilt Chamberlain was just something.
So yeah.
Mm-hmm. So that's what it came down to. All right. So other one, Julian, welcome back. I see your face now. Good listen. Defend your choice. I can't believe we're saying this as a South Florida podcast, but you have to defend your choice of Dwayne Wade. Make your argument for Dwayne Wade being on your top 5.
Look, bro, Tracy McGrady's on top 5. T-Wade.
And we have spent the first 45 minutes of this podcast talking about it, so we got to talk about Dwayne Wade too.
Also, I wanted to take somebody off my list. I want to take Magic off my list.
Wow. And put who on?
Steph Curry.
Oh, I'm actually shocked Austin didn't have him on his list either. That's crazy.
So my new list would be
You're taking off Magic Johnson to put Steph Curry on. You're taking off Magic
Johnson and putting on Steph Curry. So, okay, so this is by your admission. But this is just by the additive property that we're going to use here. You're saying that Steph Curry is the best point guard of all time, in your opinion.
This is recency bias.
Right. So yeah,
this is recency bias.
Better and
You're
better.
a prisoner of the moment.
My new order is LeBron, Jordan, Shaquille O'Neal, Dwayne Wade, Steph Curry.
Oh my God! You're a prisoner of the moment.
All right, first, since you put Dwayne Wade on there first, I want you to defend Dwayne Wade. Like I said, I still can't believe we're saying that, but defend Dwayne Wade to the rest of us, please, as your top 5.
I'm on top 5. Well, people do say that. I mean, his numbers speak for itself. The greatest shot blocking shooting guard of all time.
That's true.
He went head to head with Kobe. He went head to head with LeBron. He went head to head with.
No, he didn't. He teamed up with LeBron.
Say what?
He teamed up with LeBron. He didn't go head to head against him.
I'm sorry.
4 years of a 16-year career.
Like 6 years.
Wait, had a championship.
Oh, we're counting the Cleveland year. We're counting the Chicago years too.
Yeah. Wait a minute. Oh my bad. 4.5 years out of a 16-year career.
Did Dwayne Wade not have a championship?
With Shaq? Okay, continue.
What did Shaq do that series?
It was Shaw. It wasn't Shaq. It was Shaw. If people could argue with me about this series for a while, I was old enough. I watched every minute of that series. Dwayne Wade was the star of that series, but I think that's one of the.
That team had a shit ton of great role players, bro.
It did.
Let's leave that there.
That team's role players were elite.
They did, but still, 35, 7-7, facing 0-2, but 13 down in game 3 of the fourth quarter. It took a Herculean effort. It took
That was incredible.
An out of world experience to win that series because Dallas was not a slouch either. That was a really good Dallas team. Dallas had the better team, in my opinion. I think we had the better team. I think we had the better team in 11. Overall, as a team, yes, they were younger. They had great bench players too. Jerry Stackhouse. They had Josh Howard. They had Jason Terry.
I did like Josh Howard.
Here's the reality of stuff. Like, because that Heat team did not get off to a good start. We started trash.
The Heat team was old.
That's why our coach got fired in the middle of the year.
They had great role players. They were Hall of Fame role players that they had on that team, but that team was old. And that's why Walker was in his 30s. Gary Payton was on his last couple seasons. Alonzo Mourning was like 35. He's only had one season left. Shaq was maybe the last season of prime Shaq that we get. That was an old team.
Another thing too, like he weren't in favor going into that series, bro. So this whole the Mavericks weren't very. Yes, they were. Like they were
Mavericks were favored in that series. Like I know we get recency bias, and we can talk about people thinking, "Oh, that series was rigged," and this and that. There were multiple times when Dirk Nowitzki could have won that series, and he didn't. Dwayne Wade stepped up and won that series. LeBron. So just like in 2011, I feel like Dirk Nowitzki stepped up and won that series when LeBron stepped back and didn't win that series.
Word.
So to be made that point, but you were saying, G.
That's not even my main argument when it comes to Dwayne Wade. He is a scoring champion. He is, like I said before, one of the greatest defensive guards of all time. Also, I mean, even if we're gonna talk about potential or what could have been, I really do feel like if Dwayne Wade, I feel like if they beat Dallas in that first finals.
You mean the
Wade is
second
getting
finals?
that Finals MVP above LeBron,
He was.
Oh,
and
He was.
that kind of even goes
Hmm.
higher. Like you could argue that first year that with Dwayne looked more dynamic than LeBron that year, in my opinion. So even with the GOAT on your team, you still find a way to lead that team and stand out on that team. And then it's argument. Well, you know what? Who's really the Batman here? Who's really the Robin here? For the goal that I have put above at number one to be like, I don't know. I don't think I'm better than this guy. I think that spoke volumes. So how he handled himself in that era spoke volumes. And another thing is, well, I think this is kind of semantics, but when LeBron left, I felt like, well, if the Chris Paul trade went through, I think he probably has another probably 2 chips, and if Chris Paul doesn't get it, honk murmurs or stuff like that. But that's my argument for it. If you're able to have to argue with if you can really have the eye test tells you that, hey, I don't know if this guy's better than, I don't know if this greatest of all time, LeBron, is better than Dwayne Wade at this moment, and what's supposedly he was his peak years. So that's my argument.
Does anybody have any rebuttals?
Not really. I mean, I'm not gonna argue against Wade being top 5. Honestly, of course.
And honestly, like, to be honest, like, for me personally, he's the greatest of all time, but I just didn't want to, that's
What do you mean greatest of all time?
Like, he's my GOAT.
Look, I ain't gonna say all that.
Like, he's my GOAT. Like, the only reason I got into basketball is because of Dwayne Wade. So, like, I was still, if Dwayne Wade never existed, I would still not be into basketball right now. I wouldn't be in basketball.
Y'all know he's not from Miami, right? He's just.
I know.
Oh, we don't care about that.
Nope.
We don't care about that. Dan Marino's not from Miami either. We love him too. Look, we adopt you if you maintain.
Well, Dan Marino still lives there.
Dwayne, look, if Dwayne Wade didn't have a trans daughter, he would still live there too. I mean, look, Florida kind of sucks, to be honest. That's kind of how it comes down to. So that's why we adopt all these people.
Yes, that's exactly the way he moved. That's exactly.
No, he said it wasn't safe for his daughter. That's why he moved. That's one reason.
He's correct.
Pretty,
no,
Miami is still governed by Florida, and Florida is governing Miami. So,
hey, bro, just because you see, all the hot shit, step foot in Hialeah or some of them, more racist parts of Miami. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Dwayne Wade doesn't have to go to Hialeah, but you don't hear where is he? He's in California.
He's in California.
California.
You don't see what Gavin Newsom. This is going to become political in just a second. But you hear what Gavin Newsom just did?
No, what are you talking about?
It doesn't matter. But what essentially, if your kid identifies as trans, you don't have to tell the parent, and they say it at school, and you're the teacher. You don't have to tell the parent, and they can really get in between the parent having knowledge.
That's crazy.
I could be wrong, but I think his daughter has already aged out. I think she's like 18 now. So
likely, but let's say
I understand. I get you.
But let's say Zaya was young. So ironically, he's going to a place that might pit him. But
hey, that law is new.
He's drinking the Kool-Aid. He's in there. It is what it is. So that's just my take on it.
Mm-hmm. I feel. But we don't care that our stars aren't from here. We adopt you if you bring glory to us, basically. We don't give a
shit. Mike came from Chicago, so.
Mm-hmm. Plus, Nick, we're from Miami. Most of the people who live in our city aren't from Miami.
Let's be real about that. That's true. I mean, it's a better argument than Tracy McGrady. So,
guys,
I knew that was gonna come up.
Guys, I'm fine.
Right,
it is because at least Dwayne Wade's top 3 shooting guards all time. I mean,
I didn't say he was the GOAT. Julian said Dwayne Wade is.
You bothered to put him in the top 5 GOAT
He said
conversation.
he's the GOAT. I didn't see people coming at Julian for saying that.
Well, when he said the way he explained it,
my
explain why.
Bad. Oh, okay. Cool.
Now, honestly, look, I'll give it to you. He's in your top 5. I can give you that.
Than you did. The
said
only
he was
valid
GOAT.
point you had was.
But you know what Dwayne Wade did? You know what Dwayne Wade did his very first year?
After
That's a
him.
pass to Tracy McGrady.
I get it.
He won a playoff series. That's what
I get it. We're not
leading
gonna come
scorer
at
for his
the
team.
podcast host. We're gonna come at the guy that sometimes comes on and says that Tracy McGrady. All right.
How dare we go after that?
Don't deflect. Don't deflect for your stupidity. Don't deflect.
I get it. Y'all tell me barbershop talk. I decided to play barbershop talk, and all y'all hate me. I don't know.
All right. Hopefully, trying to
It's a strong word.
All right, hopefully, finally trying to get past the T-Mac of it all. Explain to me, Gian, why Steph Curry is the best point guard of all time in your ranking.
Yeah, actually, because he's the only point guard that's on. Well, other than Magic Johnson, that's on everybody else.
No, he took Magic Johnson off his list and put Steph Curry on. So by the additive property, he's saying that Steph Curry is the best point guard of all time. So please make that argument.
I like it.
I mean, he's in my top 5 because he's the best shooter of all time. The point of the game is to put the ball in the basket. So
That's
there's more to playing point guard than that.
You don't think there's more to playing point guard?
Y'all said that he's the best point guard of all time.
No. You don't get to do that.
Don't
took Magic Johnson off your list and put him on there. You're saying he's the best point guard of all time.
Don't do that.
That's what you just said. Now I made it clear for everybody to understand. But that's what you said. Go ahead, AJack. What were you saying?
I say he's top 5.
Don't you put that evil on me?
That's a very simplistic way to describe basketball as like the point of the game is to put the ball in the basket.
No, but like I'll make a better argument than him. But like, all right, if you want to put Steph Curry as top 5 greatest of all time, kind of only into Josh's argument a little bit of like kind of like being like the most influential. You know what I'm saying?
I will give you that. If we made a list for game changers, he'd be on
it. Work at the Y because I know work at the Y and stuff like that, and I train kids as well, bro. There was kids, 14, 17-year-olds, whatever like that, bro. First shots they take in the game, pull up three. Mind you, they just warmed up. They do warm-ups and stuff they shoot. Neither one of them guys hit a shot during warm-ups, and the first shot they take is a pull-up 3 on the fast break. That's Steph. That's Steph. So it's like even as like getting into his game, he revolutionized it because I forget players forget outside of basketball, even within the game of basketball, so many teams switched up their philosophy to try to counter what the Warriors did. It was because of Steph Curry, also because of Klay Thompson to a lesser degree, Draymond Green to a lesser degree as well, just the whole team. But like even then they came with like a bastardized version of it, because if you really watch how the Warriors played, and it started with Steph, it was about ball movement, player movement, and efficiency. Because they didn't just shoot threes; they used the threat of the three to get easier shots. That's why I always love how the Warriors play. And that started with Steph. He was willing to be a decoy to create easier shots for his teammates. That goes with like the unselfishness of him as a player type stuff.
He became one of the best pickers that you've ever seen at the guard.
Yeah, for sure. And then
for a 6'1" guard, he picks very well.
Yeah, for sure. And then like I feel like to seal it all in 2022, that was like, and as I said with Tracy McGrady, that was the time when like he really carried. You know what I'm saying? Like because that was one thing that he never had, right? He never necessarily carried his team. I feel like he did that in 2015, but neither here nor there. But like unequivocally, like it can't be doubted he actually carried them in 2022. You can't even doubt that. You can't say anybody was even close to being as good as him on that Warriors team in 2022, especially in the finals. He had an all-time finals performances against arguably one of the best defenses of all time. So if you want to say Steph's top 5, I'm cool with it because he's my favorite player currently. Obviously, D-Wade is my favorite player of all time. But if you want to put Steph in that, you want to call Steph the greatest point guard of all time, I'm cool with that too. I still want Steph to have like 2 more elite seasons, so I'm like a little more justified in my fandom to call him that. But obviously, I don't have a problem with that. But like he revolutionized the game. In my opinion, like Steph revolutionized the game while playing the right way, if that makes sense. You know what I'm saying? So yeah.
Well, I don't think he's a traditional point guard. I
No,
think
I don't think any point guard today is a traditional point guard, but yeah.
I agree with that point too.
I think with Steph, I think what gets talked about enough, and I don't think this gets patterned enough off of Steph, is his handles. And I believe him and Kyrie have different style handles, right? But the way that Steph uses handles is very different, which leads to those open shots. I'm also thinking about those Warriors teams, and that was like the perfect timing, the perfect concoction of being able to utilize like lethal shooters with a quote unquote big that can also facilitate very effectively and also play on the defensive end. Now, with all of that, in consideration of all of that, to me, I also think that Magic Johnson was like the perfect player in the perfect system at the perfect time. And it's hard for me to evaluate which one would be one over the other, because when Magic got into the league, he was already ready-made with a great Lakers team that just needed him to push them over the top. And Steph gets into a great program and is able to succeed within that program effectively as well.
Warriors wasn't a great program.
Wait, I don't know.
The Warriors
pulled that program.
weren't a great program.
No, they was not.
They built that team, Josh.
They built that team.
The Warriors were not good.
Warriors were not good. That's what I'm saying. He got into a great. What did you take? What did you take from what I said?
You said that
you said get into a great program.
Hold on.
You compared Magic to Steph. Like, all right, like, what did you mean then? Like, if I misunderstood you.
So I think the Warriors had been taking time. First of all, I thought the Warriors' development was very excellent in the way that they organized their team. So once they got Draymond, once they got Clay, once they got Steph, they were able to develop them into the core that they were going to become. Part of that
took like 5 years.
Right? But guess what? The Magic can get every lottery pick for a decade and not do what the Warriors did.
Yeah,
so
you mean that he went to a great organization? Or he entered a great situation?
Let me explain. I don't know what image is going to come to your head for if I say either or. So once they got the players and they developed them into that system, I suppose there's a way that actually what I said was it was the perfect like recipe for the perfect time to have two lethal shooters in addition to a big, the quote unquote big, that can also bring the ball up the court and facilitate. If you remember, when Draymond is not in that lineup, the Warriors' offense does not operate as effectively. That takes a lot of intention. That takes a lot of direction. That takes a lot of coaching in order for that to happen effectively. So the way that I'm bringing it back is that in similar way, Magic Johnson came into a team that had a lot of players that were ready to win, but they needed him in order to get over the top.
I see what you're saying. I do feel like Steph was a bit more involved in the creation of that. Like, he was a part of them trash teams from 2009 to 2012, and then
he got there on my
side. You know what I'm saying? That's where I kind of like misconstrued it. Like, because I get what you're saying. I want to get what you're saying with Magic, because I don't know how the Lakers, and I forgot how they ended up with that number 1 pick in '79, but
it was some type of trade.
Yeah, some type of trade that they made like back in the '70s. But obviously, Lakers were still a good team. They had Kareem. They had Norm Nixon,
the other point guard.
Like they already had a solid team. So, but like, I get what you mean. Like in 2015,
they still needed pieces though.
Yeah, I do feel like I do feel
that
like
Lakers team still needed pieces other than Magic.
But like, so I do agree with you that in the year of 2015 was the perfect concoction of Steve Kerr's system and Steph and Clay and Draymond's development. I do agree with you with that. Like, if that's what you're saying, I agree with you with that, 100%.
To me, what I was trying to illustrate is, for me, it's hard to pinpoint one versus the other one. Going back to Julian's point, like who would I give the edge to when it comes to greatest point guard of all time? Which was, last summer where Steph was on that podcast and he declared himself the best point guard, and he said the only one that he would be in competition with would be Magic.
Yeah, I think that's true.
Wait, I mean, it depends how you look at the point guard position. Now, if you want to look at the point guard position from a classic standpoint of what a point guard is, that's Magic Johnson.
Sure.
And the numbers should prove it.
Highest assists per game.
Look,
Exactly.
I think you have to just, as the point guard position evolves, that's how you have to create it, in my opinion. Because in today's game, you can't have a pass first point guard. You can't. You're not going to win. A great example of that is Draymond. Like back then in 2014 to like 2019, you could have a Draymond who doesn't shoot, who just stands at the top of the key, like redirecting traffic. You can have that happen. But now in 2024, you see y'all having a Draymond. He helps, but if Draymond isn't a threat to score, it really bogs down your offense. So you can't really have that.
True.
Yeah.
Heard on it.
Well, last part of this argument, I wanted to say, do they both succeed in both eras?
Yeah, I think Magic.
I think so.
I think Magic had the capability to score. He just chose not to.
Exactly.
Magic was he could score the ball, but he liked distributing the basketball. And even with Steph, I've seen Steph without Draymond. Steph averaged even that year before Steve Kerr, Steph averaged 8-7 assists. He's capable of doing it, but the best offense is when he's on the ball in certain moments, but other times he's off the ball, coming off screens and creating easier shots for his teammates. That's when the Warriors' offense is at its best, and that's when that kind of maximizes his teammates as well. So,
do we think that's how do I want to phrase this?
Do you think Steph could have succeeded with the Showtime Lakers? Is that what you're trying to say, or?
I'm trying to.
This is you collect your thoughts, Josh, but this is my thought. My thought is I think Magic Johnson can go to any team and make the team better.
I agree.
As in, he elevates everybody else's game. I don't think Steph Curry can go to any other team and elevate everybody.
I 100% disagree with that. I disagree. 100%.
I disagree with that too.
Wait, no. Hear what he said though. Elevate everybody else's.
No, I heard what he said.
You heard that.
Exactly what he said.
I heard that. No, Steph. I think Steph is one of the. I think Steph is one of the most underrated leaders of all time. I really do, and I say that because I think of his effort level, which I think is very underrated.
Okay.
I think he's an outstanding rebounder. He's an outstanding passer. His defense was not good, but he was able to get it.
His defense is better than people give him credit for.
Exactly, but he's able to get it to the point because he worked for his teammates. He worked for that's leadership. When you see that there's a weakness in your game, and there's something that's not allowing you to win, the great players, they develop it, they work on it, they get it as good as they can so they can win. So I think Steph has that work ethic and has that ability to lead. I think that he develops. I don't think Clay becomes the shooter he is without Steph. I don't think Draymond becomes the player he has without Steph.
That's not what my point was, because I do think Steph Curry is all of those things. That's not what I meant. What I truly meant was I think that Magic Johnson's game, his game, complements other people's games more than Steph Curry's game complements everybody's game, if that makes sense.
I see what you mean.
Yes.
I still think Steph Curry hop on any team make the team better. Same with Magic. I
think in different ways.
Better in that aspect, fine, cool. I still think Steph can hop on any team make them better. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Better in what way?
Better as in winning for sure. I meant as in making other players just better in general. I think Magic Johnson's game does that more.
All right, what do you mean by better? Since we're having that discussion,
I think what he means Magic, the way Magic passed, the way that Magic led, the way that he played the game, he put his players in better positions that gave them easier shots, made them more efficient. I think that Steph does that in a different way.
Yeah,
that's what I think.
Steph does that in a different way than the fact that Steph dominates so much on ball defense that he changes the game in that aspect. So yes, it is just different. That's all. I guess that's just what it's for argument's sake.
Which is why I get you. I understand what you when you clarified that made more sense to me. What you meant.
Yeah. No, obviously Steph Curry would go to any team and elevate the team in any facet, for sure. But yeah,
so
who's
the next person who has to defend the pick is me. I got to defend Hakeem Olajuwon because no one else put them on there. All right, for me, I think Hakeem Olajuwon is a top 5 defensive center of all time. I think that he did things that were just never seen. He's only one of 5 players he's the only player that has multiple quadruple doubles. in a game.
Really?
Yes. No one else. Like David Robinson has one. There are a couple other players who have one. Hakeem Olajuwon has two, and their blocks. All I think points, assists, blocks, and rebounds. All of them.
He's one of the 3 players who has like Defensive Player of the Year, MVP in the same season, right?
Yep. I mean, Michael Jordan. I think.
Giannis.
Was it Giannis? Yes.
That's very compelling.
And then, like, when you hear about people taking their games to the next levels when it came to getting their back to the basket game. The person they went to teach them that was Hakeem Olajuwon.
Yeah,
that's true. That's
the Dream Shake is one of those iconic moves of all time. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar has a sky hook. LeBron has his chase down block. Hakeem Olajuwon has the Dream Shake. Of course, Michael Jordan has the fly and everything like that.
Yeah.
But I think in an era when he came into the league, he was the first pick in Michael Jordan's draft. I think said something too. I think came in an era where
crazy, and no one ever talks bad about the Rockets for taking him.
Nope.
No one ever talks bad about him.
It's not a mistake.
They could have had.
It wasn't a mistake.
No one ever says that.
It wasn't no mistake.
We talked about
No mistake. You needed a center, you got one.
But even
I got one of the greatest centers of all time. So.
And also that's another one of those. If we ever talk about the greatest drafts of all time, that'll be one that we talk about.
Bro, Colin Sexton just said that the 2018 draft is the greatest draft of all time.
He did say that. And
I'm just like, because like when my homies asked me, he was like, question mark. I was like, look, if you think there's 4 Hall of Famers in that draft class, then we can have a discussion. Is there? I don't know.
I mean, they got Colin Sexton.
No, it's not, because I looked at the draft. I'm like, oh, okay. They got Luka, SGA, Jalen Brunson, Jaren Jackson Jr., MPJ, a couple other guys. But it's a good draft.
Not 4 Hall of Famers.
It's a good draft, but it's not. It's not the best draft of all time.
It's a solid draft. That's just a crazy.
It's a solid draft. But I mean, that's to be told. But let's be clear. The only ones we could talk about right now when it comes to best draft of all time: 83 draft, 96 draft, 03 draft. Those are that's the conversation we'll start with. 2018 is about another 5 years before we can start considering.
Yeah, it's like and Colin Sexton isn't the person to say that.
Exactly. I mean, if maybe Luka could talk about, but Luka would never talk about something like that. He don't care about it. He don't go to a barbershop, not like that. That's not how he does these things. Luka don't do that kind of stuff. That's not how he talks.
Luka don't know about barbershop talk.
Luka don't know about barbershops.
This man's resume is insane.
But no, it's like, if you look up his numbers, you look up what he's done, and
I'm looking at their
rebounds list, like the amount of 2 MVPs, 1 Defensive Player of the Year, 2 Finals MVPs, 2 championships. I mean, yes, they were during the years that Michael wasn't there, but still, that doesn't discount them. They won one of them as a 6 seed.
Yeah, they took the Rockets all the way to from the 6 seed. That was crazy.
It took the Rockets to the finals in the 80s when he had only been in the league for 2 years. So I mean, this
NBA leading rebounder.
Mm-hmm. The man, I feel like his stats, like kind of how Wilt Chamberlain's stats speak for themselves. I think his stats speak for themselves. So that's why I put him on my list. It was between him and Wilt, but I took the more current player because I came out like for me. I think it's just really just a preference. Like I don't think you can discount Wilt Chamberlain's dominance, but for me, I always loved Hakeem Olajuwon. Like why
did you come at Nick then for choosing one? Did you come at Nick?
I didn't come at him. I told him he had to defend his point. I came at you.
Yeah, if anybody was different, we came at you.
We came at you, but everyone had to defend their point. Just like the thing is, I didn't really disagree necessarily with Jay's point with either Steph or Dwayne. I told him like they got to defend it.
That sounded a little bit attacking. He's like, "Whoa, Nick, surprised you put go for it."
And so what surprising was that he wasn't on anybody else's list. So like I said, he was 6 for me. So but that's what that was. But were there any other like discrepancies? I know like the Shaq Kobe thing to talk about, but I feel like a lot of their greatness kind of speaks to themselves when it really comes down to it. And we all agreed on Michael and LeBron. That debate basically is like who's 1 and 2. That's basically a preference.
He's not my 2. I'm not for sure. He's 3rd for me.
But Michael's always going to be my 1, but that's really what it comes down to. So, but I think what it comes down, it's like the difference between the best of all time and the greatest of all time when it comes down to it. I think LeBron James, when it comes to all around, is going to be top 5 in almost every major statistical category when it's all said and done. Probably makes him the best of all time. but the greatest of all time, in my opinion.
Still don't think he's there that either. Because I remember one of my teammates was like, you know what? Because we was having that discussion with Mike versus Jordan. He was like, look, LeBron's the best of all time. And Jordan's the greatest. Because he was trying to like get me to lay down. I was like, no, like Jordan's the best of all time. Like, stop with that.
What's the difference between the best of all time and the greatest?
I think they want to say because LeBron, the stats basically. Like, he's like because he's considered like the best all-around player of all time. That's like the label that he has.
Which I think LeBron James is the best player, all-around best player all around.
Nigga, moral victories are for minor league coaches. Okay,
I just think about how LeBron James can play every single position.
Hear that? I don't.
I mean, there are
just think
things
about how LeBron James can play every single position.
All right, Nick. Let's have this discussion now. Let's have this discussion now. All right,
all time, not the
Nick.
I'm not saying he's better than Michael Jordan.
Okay,
that's not what I'm saying.
Then he's not the best.
All right, Nick.
I don't know what to tell you.
All right, Nick. Can he play the best position all the time? Cool, but will he? Like that's what I'm saying.
That man is not like going down and playing center.
Yeah, because even when he came down to Miami and Spelt introduced him to the playing the power forward position, you know how much he pushed back on that? He didn't want to do it.
He did.
So it's like this whole he can do this.
He hated playing the four.
Yeah, bro. LeBron can do anything he wants to. Is he going to? Like, is he going to? You know what I'm saying?
That's true.
I'm with it.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I'll never doubt what LeBron James can do, but will he do it?
He do it. That is very fair. That is a very fair point. That is a very fair point. I mean, the man can play just. Only other player that's done that is Magic Johnson, is to play the 5 as a point guard. Like, that's crazy.
That's true.
You can't.
Well, LeBron James is the only player who's ever been listed in all 5 positions on an opening day chart. I mean, there's things that LeBron James has done and will do that probably will never be done again. I think that's what has to be acknowledged when it comes to him. I don't think anyone's ever going to touch Michael Jordan's scoring average, even in this inflated NBA that we have now. Sure. I don't think anyone's ever going to average 30 points for their career. I think the only person who constantly could come close is Kevin Durant, and he's at 27.4 or something like that.
Nah, it's over. And like I think maybe Harden if he wasn't a.
What I'm really glad about is that no one was fool enough to put Harden on their list because this isn't a Jeff Teague podcast.
Everyone here hates James Harden.
It's like I think James Harden had a chance if he.
I had James Harden right at 7 or 8.
And like even like maybe Luka, but I think Luka's like on the same type of tip as Harden, where like he's not gonna stay in shape for that long. Like you know what I'm saying? He's gonna fall off hard one of these years, and it's gonna look bad.
It's gonna be terrible.
Yeah, it's gonna look bad. So maybe we'll see. We'll see.
All right. Was there anything else to add, gentlemen?
I mean,
this is one of I had a lot of fun with this conversation.
Yeah. Thank you for bringing the comedy, Josh, with the Tracy McGrady. That was great.
Thanks for bringing the conflict, the war to the barbershop conversation.
The most normal podcast of all time, y'all. Dwayne Wade, Steph Curry, blah 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 blah. Guys, let's
look. And we made him defend that, just like we made you defend it.
Into the mix. That's what I didn't hear enough of. Like, nah, nigga, I don't care what you say. This dude right here is my dude. All right,
because you know what? You know why? Because you did that for all of us. Like you putting T-Mac on the list. That's all of it. Hey, I don't care what you say. Right there. And then to be fair, Nick said, "I don't care what you say. I'm putting Will Chamberlain on the list." He didn't say that, but then you just blew us all away. That's what it was. You just blew us all away. That's what happened.
Here's what I'll say. You know the young players, the young guys.
Oh, that's so tight.
Oh, you making JSU and NCAA?
Savannah State University.
So
like you have to do it online?
Yeah, you have to do it. Well, you could try to do it on your phone. Good luck.
Oh no, I'm talking about this online. Like you can't do like on the game type stuff. They don't have like on the game.
No, it's not on the game.
I mean, I could probably.
Is that really the capacity? Is that really the capacity for the stadium? That can't be the capacity for the stadium.
Nah, of course not.
I'm about to say,
right? You want to, you can put it in 100,000.
We see you getting 100,000 seats.
What you're saying is, guys, it's time for me to make Iowa State's Optimist. Real.
Yeah, it's time. It's time for you to go that Thunder route. That's what it's time for you to do.
Oh my gosh.
No creativity, man.
Well, no. to go back to Josh's point, yeah, you're right. There weren't enough. Nah, I'm dying on this hill type player points for our top 5. But I got to be honest with you, you did that and more for the rest of us when you put T-Mac on your list.
Nigga, no, because all 4 of y'all know when y'all go to bed at night, there's this one player in the back of your mind that you're like, man, that nigga is tough.
Kevin Durant.
For me, it's Dwayne Wade. It was we discussed it. We talked about it.
You know it's
not pick Vince Carter before I pick T-Mac.
Okay, good. See, Vince Carter, but boom, it's like they're just like niggas that are in the back of your mind that like this guy's top 5. I will
Kevin Durant.
You'll die on that hill.
No, I'm saying that we all have that player that.
No, for sure, 100%. Mine's Kevin Durant.
It's gonna be hard to defend. But here's one thing that I want to say though. I'm not saying this is legitimate. I'm saying this is a phenomenon, right? Where young kids are like saying, "Oh, who's your GOAT? Who's your GOAT, young kid? Oh, I love Paul George." I can't say that.
That's crazy. But to me, Paul George is the T-Mac of this generation.
Okay, boom. So you can see where kids are growing up wanting to play like Paul George, even though Paul George hasn't done anything.
Yeah, I don't understand that. He has done nothing.
There's some young guys at my job that like love Paul George. I'm like, that's your favorite player.
That is true. That is very true. I don't understand why. He's
a lot of guys' GOAT. He's a lot of guys' GOAT. And so to me, I'm like,
I don't understand.
I don't get it, right? And so
I can't. It's the same thing as the T-Mac. His game.
I know. Why you guys are like, why?
I don't think his game looks that good.
It does. Ooh, Paul George's game.
No, he has a pretty smooth game in my opinion. Like when he's watching in his bag,
because like there's like this TikTok phenomenon of like an Erykah Badu song playing while he just cooks people. It's like one of the most prettiest things I've ever seen in my life.
Oh, I'm sure.
It's beautiful. Like it's beautiful.
Erykah Badu vocals. That's crazy.
Oh, let me see if I can pull it up real quick. Hold on. Hey,
but like that's the thing. That's just a phenomenon where like who do they look up to? Oh, I look up to Paul George's game. I think he's one of the greatest of all time. And I can and you guys are gonna go to bed tonight and be like, yeah, there's this dude. I didn't say it on the podcast today, but there's this nigga that he got it. And that to me is T-Mac. I'm just a little bit more honest with it, upfront with it. So you're welcome for the laughs, guys.
Put him on a Mount Rushmore though of all time.
Guys, you said Josh. Who are your top
if
5?
this was named your top 5 players of 2010, yeah, we could have that argument. Of the 2010s, sure. T-Mac could be.
I'm T-Mac would be on the 2010s. He'd be 2000.
Yeah, 2000.
Yeah, my bad. So 2000s. Yeah, sure. Sure.
Hey, well, the whole point was to defend your top 5, and to Josh's point, he did. You defended the top 5.
And you know what? I defended mine. So.
Let me my screen.
I mean, we poked a lot of holes in it, yeah, but you definitely defended it. Like,
hey, did I make it to shore? I didn't drown. I made it to shore, dog.
All right, but we definitely scored. We definitely scored 30 points on 60% shooting on your defense of T-Mac. Yes, definitely.
That's your neck.
Whatever. That was terrible.
Jesus. All right, well, let me ask this before we go. Because like AJack just said that his favorite player is Kevin Durant. So why wasn't Kevin Durant on some of y'all lists?
All right, no, I'm ready for this one.
Okay.
Why Kevin Durant is not on my list?
Why is Kevin Durant
on my list?
I personally don't feel like Kevin Durant had. So I think the guys on my list I felt like had an X factor to them. I don't think that Kevin Durant has that X factor.
All right, let me ask you one question. So
T-Mac did have the X factor. Yes, T-Mac does have the X factor. AJ looking
try to like justify T-Mac, but like try to talk down Kevin Durant. I really want to hear you try to do that.
What happened?
Well, Nick,
I wouldn't
you
defend T-Mac.
I've seen T-Mac time and time again have an edge when he plays. I've seen him time and time again. I haven't seen Kevin Durant like legitimately have this edge when he plays. That's like, oh, okay, this dude's about it. This dude got it. He's just a different era player. Like, and that's it. And that's it for me.
All right, let me ask you. Like, so during the 2017 finals when he won against LeBron, you ain't see that from him?
When what?
His
During the
first
2017 finals. You ain't see that from him, like him going head to head with LeBron? You ain't see that from him?
Yeah, I saw that, but it's like I don't see it in other. I get it. Yes, he did it in the finals one time. I don't think that,
even in 2012 finals against LeBron, I feel like he was on that same exact way. They just
I didn't get that sense. I didn't get that sense. I don't get that sense regularly from Kevin Durant plays or when he's in the finals. I think he's very skilled.
And crybaby, dog.
I think he's very skilled and very
Kevin
talented.
Durant's a crybaby, but LeBron's not.
Yeah, LeBron is.
Come on now.
I say that Kevin Durant is a crybaby in the fact that he cries about things upon which narratives he's created.
But just because I get you.
He creates the narrative.
I get you. It's a Twitter thing. It's definitely a Twitter thing. Just because these niggas didn't expose themselves in their
It's a Twitter thing, and then it's also like you joining the way he's handled the whole him going to Golden State and everything, everybody talking shit about it.
The biggest mistake that KD made that LeBron didn't is one. I don't think LeBron because if you go back to 2011, right after the 2011 loss, because I remember when LeBron went on that rant calling everybody broke and like y'all miserable type stuff. LeBron never did that.
He said everybody has to go back to their lives.
Everybody
wake up LeBron James.
You know what?
I never done that.
So happy.
And LeBron never did that again. He never did that again because he understood you don't do that. Kevin Durant, he did that. Like he was like, yo, why y'all be on my? And I agree with him. I agree with Kevin Durant too. Like, why y'all be on my ass about my life decisions? Like about what was like best for me type stuff. Like, and that's like the mistakes that Kevin Durant's made because that's why he looks like a crybaby type stuff. Like that's like the one thing I can like see LeBron play. Like LeBron, he just shut up about that type of stuff because like you're never going to.
I just remember one interview he was interviewing, and he literally goes, he said, "Just because I joined Golden State, why does everybody act like I didn't put in the work to be here or something like that?" And I was like, "Sound like a bitch." Like, bro, you joined the best team in the NBA, and you're one of the greatest players of all time. You expected no scrutiny from that?
Right.
I don't think it's that, but I think people say that 2017 title doesn't count. That's when it's like, come on, bro.
I'm not.
It be
I can't
like
take that away from them.
I'm not.
That's the thing. People do though. People legit don't count them championships on.
I get it. That's not necessarily my argument. My argument ultimately is you can't, as Nick said, you can't do something and then get mad when people feel a way about it, or then have an opinion about the way.
That's human. That's human nature, though. Like you're right, 100%.
I know,
you're 100% right. But when we all do it.
Kevin Durant likes to complain about the decisions that he made, the response that people have to the decisions that he makes.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, look, you're the one that decided to sign with Golden State in the offseason after you came within a couple minutes of beating them in the Western Conference Championship. Like that just is what it is. When you want to look at the public perception of that, that's a trip. It's going to be a trip. And so you got to be willing to embrace that instead of running from it and blaming everybody else for like how their decisions that you make. And so that carries over into his game, I believe.
I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying.
But I'll say this. As far as my opinion when it comes to that move, I feel like both parties made the best move for them. I've said this before on this podcast. I think logically, I think, look, Golden State needed help in the small forward position because Harrison Barnes made 15 straight threes in the game 5. If he makes one, they win that championship.
Yeah.
So what do? You have the cap space to go over the best small forward available in the game, right? So yeah, you go get him. Kevin Durant was in a situation where he felt he could not win anymore. So where do you go? You go to the best place where there's probably the best chance to win.
But why couldn't you win anymore?
Well, you look at that series. Look at like we talk about that Western Conference series where they were up 3-1 against it, and then Russell Westbrook starts going off at the mouth talking all that crap about this and how Steph Curry's and this. Like we was asked about Steph Curry's defense and everything. It got to the point where it's like, okay, I've done everything I can to this point with this team.
Katie's actions just make you question the competitor in him.
Look, I've always said, I've said this on this podcast before, but outside of Russell Westbrook, that team was poorly built around.
Who?
That Thunder team was poorly built around him. It was.
Kevin Durant? How?
It was. Think about
How?
who was on that team, Nick. I'm not saying it wasn't talented. I'm saying the team was poorly built.
I'm asking you to explain that to me.
Okay, yeah, Russell Westbrook couldn't space the floor. Kevin Durant was their best shooter, their best spacer. So whenever Kevin Durant caught the ball, because I remember watching this in 2016 finals, whenever he caught the ball and took one dribble in, there was 3 Warriors surrounding him. They had Serge Ibaka and Steven Adams starting on a team with Draymond Green starting at center. That was a bad matchup. When Golden State was hitting their shots and they went on the run and they just ran, that's a bad matchup. That's why I say.
So are you talking about specifically that year it was poorly constructed?
That year,
bad matchup for Golden State.
No. I'm talking about just over the years. That team wasn't that great built around them. Kevin Durant made those teams work because he was an elite talent.
I agree with that.
Kevin Durant. That's what I'm saying. Like, I'm not saying there wasn't talent on the team because Serge Ibaka was talented, Steven Adams was talented, but those teams were poorly built around him. There wasn't enough spacing. There wasn't enough playmaking, in my opinion.
I won't say playmaking because you have the playmaking with Russell Westbrook.
Russell Westbrook wasn't the triple-double monster that he became because Kevin Durant.
Russell
Westbrook still made plays.
Though. Yeah, I think Russell Westbrook is a great playmaker, but he has a garbage basketball IQ. He will do dumb stuff on a consistent basis.
That's true.
I do think he's a good playmaker though. But outside of Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook, who's making plays on those teams?
I got you. If Russell Westbrook was a better playmaker and had a higher IQ,
just a better decision maker because he was a good playmaker. Russell Westbrook was one of the best drivers. Like he could collapse defense on his own. What I mean by not taking a shot with 20 seconds left on the shot clock, not taking 5 shots in a row when Kevin Durant's on a heater. He has 30 right now, but you want to get your stats, so I'm gonna take 5 shots in a row. Like decision making type stuff. Mind you, I do think.
I just think back to if James Harden stayed on that team would have been completely different.
I feel you. I don't think James Harden would have been James Harden.
He was going to demand more money.
Well, yeah, regardless. But if you talk about spacing, he can space. If you could talk about playmaking, he can make plays. When James Harden chooses to pass the ball, he's actually a really good point guard. I mean, there's a lot of things. I think that team was built. I think they had a lot of, they built that James Harden was a big factor in that. In that era of OKC, he was a big factor in that. And then when he left, it took them a while to replace that, or they never really were able to.
They never really replaced it.
I still think that Kevin Durant going to Golden State, I feel like it was a weak move, but it was a smart move. It was the right move. Like that, it made perfect basketball. It made perfect basketball.
I mean, you can't argue that because they won a championship. So I mean,
I'm not here to say that you're not allowed or it's not a smart. You got to do what's best for your career, right? But I'm allowed to say that was a dumb move. That was stupid.
I do agree with that.
Look, the media is gonna make fun of you. You're gonna get called cupcake when you come back into OKC. That's just what's gonna happen. Don't get mad.
Yeah. Don't get mad at that.
Same with LeBron James. LeBron, if you're going to go on national television and say, "Oh, I'm going to take my talents to South Beach," you know that we're going to clip that over and over, and we're going to call you soft, and we're going to make fun of you. It's just, but you can't then be like, "Oh, well, now the world is happy and world peace, blah 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 blah." Look, bro, you made the decision. We are just going to be responsible for our response to it. That's all it is.
All right, let me ask you a question. So, if say Kevin Durant goes to the Wizards, doesn't win nothing, and he ends his career ringless, how is he viewed?
A legend.
In my eyes?
Yeah, in your eyes.
Okay. Well, your eyes, but go ahead.
No, I'm not talking about. I'm talking about in general.
Stephen A. Smith will be making fun of him to this day.
Yeah, I know. Phil, I know. Personally, I know. That's why I feel like it's very.
I think he'd be seen in the lights as Charles Barkley, as he was a great player.
And Charles Barkley is constantly you can tell.
Charles Barkley is constantly made fun of because he's fat.
No. I'm talking about. I'm talking about With Charles Barkley and the way he speaks about people, you can tell he's very bitter about his basketball career.
Oh,
still. And anytime Shaq mentioned he had no rings, it irritates him to no end.
Here's my take on that. my take on that is people emphasize rings way too much. Now,
I agree with that.
I understand that Charles Barkley is a public figure, meaning he's like on T or no longer on TNT, but he was on.
He has
TNT.
1 more year.
Okay, so I recognize that he's like a public figure, and like that's one of the things that you can take jabs at public figures like that. But the reason that's a thing is that I don't know if it's our generation or the later generation, we've just become ring obsessed, and we place this like expectation that if you're gonna be great, you're gonna get a ring, and if you're not, if you don't get a ring, you're not great, or you're not one of the greats. And that to me is a farce. Like that's a terrible thing to put on people, especially like all these athletes. Winning a championship is incredibly hard. It's one of the most difficult.
Trust me, I understand that. But I'm talking about
agree
from
with
a general sense. You're viewed better when you win championships. That's just the reality. That's been like a thing. Like there was a clip. There was a clip after the '92 finals with Mike. He was like, I gotta win 3 in a row because Bird and Magic never did it. And even before he won one, what were they saying about Mike? They were saying Mike is only a scorer. He's only this. He couldn't do this. He couldn't win the big game. Titles has always mattered. I do agree that this generation blows it up to be like, they call you a loser if you don't win one. But titles has always mattered. And Kevin Durant retired without any rings, considering the type of talent that he is, that would have been a stain on his legacy, 100%.
He be viewed as Melo.
You a little better than Melo.
A little better than Melo. A little better than Melo. A little better than Melo.
Melo-ish, I suppose. I guess
Kevin Durant. I would say no
because he has won championships. That's what I'm
saying. Do you guys see Carmelo as a Hall of Famer?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
but is Carmelo one of the best players? Is Carmelo arguably one of the best 15 players of all time? No.
Not in my top 15.
Yeah,
I think there may be a few players that view him as top 15, but I guarantee it's a lot less.
I don't even view Carmelo like when I think of like great small forwards. I don't even think of Carmelo. I think of James Worthy. That's the crazy part. I think of James Worthy before I think of Melo, and I think Melo was probably better than James Worthy. But that's the reality.
I think it would depend on what Kevin Durant did once he got to the Wizards. If he made them competitive, if he got them to a different place, like he did. I wouldn't say he necessarily had to win a championship, but if he was able to get them competitive enough to be in position, and if he never did it, I'm like this dude, he's a legend.
No, that's the thing though.
Say he does what Damian Lillard has done with Portland over the past 6 years, get them to a conference championship series, but that's pretty much it. Would you view how is he viewed then? Is he viewed as
it was Damian Lillard. I feel like with Damian Lillard specifically, I feel he's shrunk in like a lot of these playoff series. I feel like I don't remember Damian Lillard like those last Portland years having like one good playoff series.
Sure, but Damian Lillard.
I think people see Portland letting Damian Lillard down more than Lillard letting Portland down.
That's true.
Because Portland never built the team
around. Kind of make that same. In my opinion, people would disagree because obviously Nick thinks those OKC teams are good. Like I think when KD left, it kind of switched the responsibility of them not winning from OKC to KD. KD just didn't get the job done. The reality is like mind you, they should have won 2016, 100%. That was on KD and Russ. And
I just think they're missing like 2 players from being able to go to a championship.
That's why they were just missing some shooting and some versatility in their lineup.
Exactly. That's it. You wait another season, you get a shooter. You needed a 3 and D.
Who are you talking about?
Who they just didn't want to be there anymore, Nick.
Also, too, I think he watched Russ drive one too many times without kicking it to him. I just think to him, it just wore on him. It got to the point where it's like, look, my legacy is going to be called in question. I'm an unrestricted free agent. I want to win a championship. I want to stop talking about me not being ringless.
It's like, if you're gonna say like maybe he should have just waited, and like maybe he should have just waited for that time that he breaks through. Maybe, like could you say the same thing about LeBron? If you could just waited, maybe he breaks through in Cleveland. I doubt it. Right?
Yeah, but just solely for the LeBron argument, he went back and he took some really shitty teams very far. And he ended up winning.
Yeah, but to be fair, those shitty teams still had Hall of Fame talent on them because he left them.
I'm talking about Mo.
How was that Cavaliers team when they won? Like I'm talking about when he won. He manufactured a trade to get Kevin Love on that Cavaliers team. That team was stacked. So it's like,
oh, I'm not saying it wasn't. It was a very good team.
So it's like,
yeah, what's that?
And they had Tristan Thompson. Can you believe it?
Greatest offensive rebound of all time.
First prime, first prime. All 2 years that lasted.
All 2 years of it.
But that's always going to be a good argument when it comes down to it, like how you view him. But I mean, it is because I was watching a video on KD when I stopped about how like basically how his career is viewed. And also they were saying like, what if his feet weren't 14 inches long and he is able to make that shot at 3 against Milwaukee in 2021? Okay. Brooklyn probably wins the championship in that year. Atlanta's not going to beat Brooklyn, and I don't think that Brooklyn team.
But like, bro, because the way Harden's hamstring was cooked because he couldn't even go to the Olympics that year. Yeah, because he couldn't even go to the Olympics that year because his hamstring was still cooked. So I doubt they win it though, because he was hurt. I thought they win it.
Maybe we're talking about Chris Paul in this conversation instead of Steph Curry and Magic Johnson. Then, if Chris Paul has a ring, so how does he get viewed when it comes to that?
Nah, he's legit. He's another one. Oh my god, he's another one. Oh, he's had some collapses, man. Oh my god, he's
injuries, hamstrings. It's hamstrings. It's been knees. It's been this. It's been that. When it comes to Chris Paul, he's shrunk in the playoffs.
He just straight up choked. Like, he's been some unlucky injuries like that. He's just straight up choked some playoff.
They were up 2-0 against Milwaukee in the finals a couple years ago.
Yeah, they were.
So to me, I'm like,
he was awful.
He has more blown 2-0 series lead than any other player in NBA history.
Yep.
And he's blown 2 3-1 leads as a player as well.
Yeah.
The only person in NBA history who's done that more is Doc Rivers. So they were together for a while. So it all counts together.
Yeah.
Oh man.
So it's just there's a lot of things going on with that, but I think that's what separates some of these players when it comes to it. Like for me, that's what it was. It's like excellence, being able to step up. If you look at Dwayne Wade's playoff numbers, they're outstanding. He's top 15 in a lot of categories. You would think
he's one of the guys who it's him, obviously Jordan, LeBron, who just step up when they get in that mode of playoffs. I'm a different dude.
You know who also does that, but we don't talk about, and I don't think they're the GOAT. People that step up in the playoff time when it's time to win is Manu Ginobili. We don't talk about Manu enough.
There's a reason why we don't talk about Manu enough.
I'm not saying he deserves to be in this conversation. I'm saying when it's winning time, when it's time to win a championship, guess what lefty is gonna hit that 3 for you?
That's valid. Oh, it pains me, but that's valid.
When it's game time,
that's a good point.
Oh, bet. Okay.
Playoff Murray is my favorite player.
What'd you say?
Jamal Murray in the playoffs. My favorite playoff player. That game gets elevated out the wild.
He is not going to make an All-Star game, but I bet the playoffs. I bet the playoffs.
He's got
Jimmy Hyro was talking about that too.
MVP.
But Manu Ginobili. Talk about Manu.
Bruh, come on now. We don't talk about Manu.
All right, but speaking of Manu,
the GOATs, blah, blah, blah.
So, in y'all list, where does Tim Duncan stand on any of y'all lists?
He's
arguably the best power forward of all time.
He's probably some 15.
He's top 10, so he's probably where is he at?
Where is he at? 15 for you, Josh.
I said land.
Who's talking about?
Tim Duncan.
Yeah, I thought I said dirt. I might have blown a gasket.
No, you said Tim Duncan, right?
Yeah, Tim Duncan. You said top 15?
I said 15, 20 land, somewhere like that.
Oh, 15 between.
It could be higher. I haven't done my list in a while.
Nick, where's he at for you?
For me personally, I don't really like Tim Duncan, but he's in my top 10. To be the best power forward of all time, you have to be in the top 10.
What about you, Jay?
Say that again?
Tim Duncan, where do you put him in your top whatever?
Ooh. 7?
7? What about you, Jack?
He got it ready.
Jack?
You said what?
What about you, AJack? Where you put him?
Top 5. I mean, my fault, top 10.
I'm saying, we just talked about top 5. He wasn't there. So.
Yeah, I was about to say.
But no, there's another player I think would be, to talk about it. He's going to be in a lot of top 5 conversations. I don't think you can really disparage him in an era with Kobe, and Jack and everything like that. He was able to get 5 championships, so can't really be disparaged.
Yeah, but he didn't do it on his own. Like he didn't do it alone.
He didn't do it on his own, but he definitely elevated the Spurs to the point where they could do that because they had David Robinson before he got there, and they weren't winning championships with David Robinson. So I think that needs to be said as well. And David Robinson is a much better player than people remember. Top 50 and top 75. So David Robinson is a great player, but Tim Duncan
David Robinson's in a lot of people's top 20 though.
So
the Admiral.
Mm-hmm. What about? Does anybody have an opinion? Oscar Robinson? Is he in anybody's top 20? Because he's in my top 10. Oscar Robinson.
It's hard to not have him in that.
For me, because like the triple-double thing, I think he revolutionized position, was able to win championships in Milwaukee as well. I think that you don't really have someone like Magic Johnson without Oscar Robinson. You definitely don't have Russell Westbrook without Oscar Robinson.
Oh, yeah. For sure.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's a precursor of sorts. I'm unfamiliar with the statistical. I know he did triple doubles. I don't know how revolutionary he was in the game and
he held the triple double record for 50 years. That's basically that's okay.
If you just know that,
but it's for him. It's like his game was before its time. I think a little bit, but
definitely one of the starts of heliocentric basketball.
He's got 12 NBA All-Stars, 3 NBA All-Star MVPs, 9 All-First teams. He's got 1 championship.
Nick, I want whatever website you're looking at. You just throw.
Hey, he's obviously the statistician for this debate, which I appreciate. See how I made it right. How to make it all come together.
Nick, this is all feelings, no facts, bro.
You asked for stats for Oscar Robinson. I went to go look them up.
You have to be able to defend the choice with facts.
I disagree. 25.7 points per game.
I'm going off of feelings, my guy.
Well, there's only so much feelings I can have for Oscar Robinson. I didn't get to watch him play ball.
No. I'm just saying. No, what I'm saying is you're just like, look, you've looked up a ton of people tonight. That's what I'm saying. And I'm like, bro, I'm just going off of like, nah, I rock with this. Nah, I don't rock with that. No, that's terrible. No, I love that.
Oh, true. Well,
that's what I mean. Look, you go off feelings. You come up with T-Mac in your top 5. That's what goes.
Absolutely,
exactly. That's what I'm saying. With no basis. I'm not even a numbers guy like that.
I love T-Mac.
We know. We can tell.
That's what I'm saying. I'm going off feelings, not facts.
And that will be the second trailer for this podcast. Josh.
All feelings, dog.
All right, gentlemen. Thank y'all so much for joining us. This is one of the funner conversations we have had. I've had a great time tonight. Is there anything else that we wanted to add, guys?
We just gotta talk about Manu Ginobili more. That's it.
No, we don't have to talk about him. This is a South Florida podcast. We are stretching it by even talking about this top 5 stuff. The next time that we will grace y'all screens, we'll be talking about the GOATed NFL players. So we're going to talk about favorite QBs, favorite linebackers, favorite defensive backs.
You have to throw that. You got to put pretenses on that.
Pretenses is going to be different categories, different positions that we're going to be talking about. And I'm going to say this first. F Tom Brady, as I say it, and then we move on. As that's going to be my feeling going into that discussion. But thank y'all so much for joining us on our top 5 GOAT talk. All right, for Nick, for AJack, for Josh, for Jay, I'm Music Nerd. Y'all enjoy your night. Thank y'all so much for coming in. We love y'all.
Go Noles!
You, baby.